My greetings to all who are listening. Marilyn von Savant stated, "Success is achieved by developing our strengths." In light of those wise words, I feel I should look back and review my strengths to further them in pursuit of my new goals. As such, I hope that you can all learn something from me, and perhaps you might wish to cultivate a strength of your own in the same ways. I have found that strength isn't something that is given to us. It is something that needs to be grown and cultivated through hard work and life experiences. So as we move on, I'm Alexander Spence, and the strengths that I will tell you about are my strong leadership skills, my courage, and my honesty. First up is my leadership skills. To be a leader is the ability to walk ahead of others, guiding yourself and them toward your destinations. The first time I recognized that I could walk as leader was during a simple event known as Persecution Run, done by a local church. I was ignorant of the terrain that I would need to cross to make it to the destination, so I elected to follow a boy named Drew, who was going along with two others. Even then, with him being the leader, my words had led the group to being cautious and staved off the foolish decisions that we could have made. During the event, I ended up getting separated from the group, and that all went away. The caution was just thrown to the wind as they made a few foolish decisions and got themselves caught before making it to the destination. I made it a lot further, staying with my cautious decisions. And even so, this budding leadership ability, these words that I could speak and have power, was really cultivated when I went to do martial arts training at a local area. When one of the training nights ended, I was told by one of the black belts they, meaning the other students, looked up to me. It was then, right after that was told to me, that I realized I had learned to guide these other students through both teaching them the abilities needed to learn Taekwondo, which is the martial art, like the kicking and punching, to actually life skills by my example. I was leading by my example then. As useful as my leadership skills are, there is another strength of mine that used to be lacking, but has grown strong. That is my courage. My courage was weak in my earlier years, and people used to say that I looked like I was paranoid all the time. Now, I can push away my fear and do many things without question and immediately, when others would have trouble with that. My earlier years were really ruled by these fearful thoughts. I would always look over my shoulder and would be worried about everything. And I remember once, it was from a very long while ago, it was during the night in bed, I looked at my floor, and my overactive imagination had made the floor look like it was covered in snakes. Now, I hate snakes. This was one of my greatest fears. It took over half an hour to manage to get enough courage to push past the illusion that had been created by my imagination and just turn on the lights to banish the fear. Even so, that wouldn't be my existence forever. And I learned how to fight my fear and push it back and learned how to be courageous. For me, my faith in my religion is a very big thing. I'm a Christian, and I went to a Christian camp where my faith and belief grew so strong it was able to push away my fear. And I learned that belief in something greater than yourself lends you courage to face the fears that you face in everyday life. And it was even more displayed recently when I was at the annual training for my National Guard that I was allowed to fire one of the artillery cannons. Really big thing. But one thing that we were told when we got there, that there's this tradition. You had to take the primer, which is the thing that is basically hit that fires the round off in the mechanics of the whole thing. You had to dip it in the swab water, which had a bunch of leftover carbon in it, and take a shot of it. The person I was with wouldn't have anything to do with it. I simply looked over and said, sure, I'll do it, despite my fear of the safety of the whole thing. My courage is now strong enough to allow me to push past even my greatest fears. And equally useful is my third strength of honesty. In my past, honesty wasn't an important thing to me. If you were able to lie and get away with whatever you wanted, why would you tell the truth? Now, I've learned that lies push away your allies and make more enemies, whereas the truth makes your bond stronger than ever. To explain my old self further, I used to lie so convincingly to everyone that even my own parents couldn't tell when I was lying. This was shown once when I decided that I didn't want to do my homework. I was forced to lie and tell my parents I had no homework. I continued to do so, on and on, for over a week. It was then that they realized through other means that I had been lying. But the main thing was I had to tell this lie so many different ways, adding so many details to it, and I never contradicted myself. I had invented a whole, basically, story about it, and never failed. Now, I have seen what I was, and worked to make myself better. And I haven't lied in so long that I can no longer keep a solid poker face when lying. I learned this when a friend asked me if they could try to tell if I was lying. To do this, they asked me to tell two stories, one a truth, one a lie. When I tried to tell the stories, I started out deciding I was going to do the lie. The moment I decided I was going to do a lie, he called me out on it. So I can't even think about lying anymore before my body actually reacts and shows it. This shows that I've improved and I no longer can lie convincingly like that. So I have told you about my growth and understanding of all these three strengths: leadership, my courage, and my honesty. And I have shown my progress in developing them to what they are today. For me, the most important thing about ourselves is not our skills, leadership, abilities, or even what makes us strong or weak. The important thing is what it took for us to become the way we are and how we can help each other learn what we have learned. So I thank you then for listening, and hopefully you learned something. But I'm Alexander Spence, and this are my three strengths.